Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet you'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is great to have you here. We're going to have what I think is going to be a very interesting discussion today. What's been going on actually over here? I just finally got sat back down really to my computer the first time in a couple of days. I hope everybody is going is doing well. So welcome here to my home. Welcome to the office, and welcome to the morning grind. We've got Better with Bacon here, and I've been listening to some of his latest videos that have been posted on his channel, and I saw he had another one up. James. Haven't gotten to see that one yet, but James has got a lot of very deep stuff on role playing over on his channel. Make sure you're checking that out. Hey, good morning, PH. Good morning. Hey, Jason. Good morning, Titterpig. Jason's using this time productively. Jason says this year's project is to create one hex for Hexcrawl every day of the year. I'm going to listen to this while I do that today. Sounds like the perfect use of the time. Good morning. Okay, so there we go. John D says the thief is useful just the way it is. All right, so we're already jumping in. Hey, Mike, good morning. Good to see you. Let's see. So yeah, I have in what little time I have had since Wednesday to sit down and in fact sit down and work or look at anything. And sometimes not even here, just like scrolling on the phone, like making use of a phone scrolling time. I really jumped into reading up on the OSE, got back to it, the old school essentials. And then I was also thinking about a lot of the different things that we have seen here on the Morning Grind. Well, since the beginning, all the different rules that we like, this rule, that rule. And it really occurred to me, well, how much I was enjoying it, as I was kind of tinkering with it in the little time that I had, because it felt like I was really back down to the bones of a system. And I touched on that a little bit last time, but I think that it's best articulated by saying that, like, hey, when you're looking at 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, especially Pathfinder 2nd edition, they seem like they're very much channeled to do what it is they do. They're built to do what they do, and they do what they do well, especially something like Pathfinder 2nd edition. But that trying to deconstruct it or trying to do something else with it gets to be difficult. And one of my friends was like, well, Pathfinder, he was talking about 1st edition. He was like, that's basically 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons. And, they did do D20 Modern. I don't remember if I ever played D20 Modern. It was around. Might have. We might have done like a one-shot in D20 Modern. But then also did the D20 Star Wars, which we did play. We did play D20's, the Star Wars version. And yes, they did do all of that. There we go. Oh, no, that was off. They did do all of that, but I think they did that by really breaking down the system and then rebuilding it, not necessarily saying, hey, let's take Dungeons and Dragons and then build the modern game, or let's take that and build Star Wars. I think they really broke it down and then rebuilt it. And that kind of thing is a lot easier to do when you're talking about something like one of these old school hacks, because you're looking directly at the bones of the system rather than 3, 5, or 8 levels of game design above the basic system. So that it's been easier to work with, I think, than the others. Yeah, I am sure. Now, James has been posting, when he posts the video, also to the Ravenkeep Discord server. So that's another way to keep up with it. Put a link to the Discord, to the videos in the Discord server. So that's another way. But yeah, I know that's the problem. YouTube doesn't show us stuff. Well, I spend a lot of time in my YouTube subscriptions feed, just looking at, specifically my subscriptions. I know a lot of people don't do that, but if you don't, I mean, you never see anything. Hey, hey, Charlie. The Titter Pig says some players and GMs feel that the addition of the thief was a betrayal of the DNA of D&D, namely Conan, who was described as a thief, a reaver, and a slayer, and think all classes should be thieves. Hey, BGD. Hey, so I do have one announcement about something that's going on with Brianna before we actually get into it here. Let's see, where did I put something that I can read from? How about over here? So Brianna has good news. She doesn't use social media a lot, just like her personal social media. She doesn't have author social media and stuff like that. But I want to go ahead and put this out to let people know. I'm not sure. We're going to be talking about her topic, which is the structure of romance. I think in February that'll be thematic. So just in case, we might have more information on that by the time she's next on Table Talk. But if you don't know, Brianna is a frequent guest on the Table Talk channel. And she has good news about one of her scripts. She says, okay, so it's finally happened. I'm a finalist in Stage 32's horror contest. My script is one of the 9 that have advanced this far. I could end up with meaningful industry connections because of this. What's more, because I'm a finalist, my script has now broken the red list on Coverfly. It's ranked number 19 out of all horror scripts on that website. I could end up with meaningful industry connections because of that too. Getting onto the red list is a big deal. This is the highest accolade I've ever had for my writing after working relentlessly on my craft for 2 decades. I'm very emotional right now. And then she linked to her script on Coverfly. And this is one that I think I was the first person to read it, actually. She and I worked on it together before we started to do our like discussion sessions on Table Talk Live. Well, you know, we still get together for writing sessions, but so we were working on that script long before there was Table Talk. And then I think Brianna took it to Cameron. I'm not sure who else is. Has anybody else read this? Like, I don't know. James Bacon might have seen it. But anyway, so she's there. She's a finalist now. That would be amazing if she is able to actually make that happen. Hey, Tomocrat, good morning. So there we go. So stuff is happening. Stuff is happening. It's already breaking out here in 2025. So there we go. I still didn't get my lighting right, did I? Well, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Anyway. Which script? Oh, this is her. Well, it used to be called Locked In. This is the horror script that she wants to make the one that, Lock In. Yeah, that's it. Lock In. So you read that one too. So it's now called The Sacrament. So it changed names, but that's it. It was Locked In or Lock In when originally, and it's now been changed, retitled, and doing well. That's the one that she wants to make the first one that she ever directs, like the feature film that she directs. So, all right, doing very well there. Okay, let's go over. I'm going to bring up, I got a bunch of different windows open right here. So, questions have come up that I was like, that I kind of thought about too. Present, share screen. Here we go. So here is our OSE Thief. All right. Let's take a look at this. All right. Thief. Oh, we didn't do breathe and sip. Do I even have a drink here this morning? I sure don't. Hey, let me go. I need to get some water anyway to sit here and read. So yes, we need to breathe and sip. Let me grab my drink. I'll just grab some water.
Oh, it's time for a Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break, Yeti hug break. Everybody go hug yo Yeti and show yo Yeti some love.
Okay. Yep, let's breathe and sip, and then we will get into this. So, I just picked up some water. Hey, need to drink water from time to time. So, here we go. 2 deep breaths. Deep inhales, complete exhales. And then let's take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. Here we go. Let's breathe. And sip. There we go. All right. So this is our thief as it stands in OSE. Requirements none. Prime requisite dex. Hit dice 1d4. I was also looking at hit dice or damage by class. As it turns out, there's so many different things out there that people have expanded on with this. Now, of course, I know that's the case with D&D as well, but it seems like when I started to think about all these different rules that we've looked at over the time, like, hey, didn't we really like this particular rule from this system or that particular rule from this system? They're pretty easy to cobble in together using the OSE. And one of them that I was thinking about for some reason is damage by class. Wasn't that something that you were a proponent of, James Bacon? I think it was. And, you know, I'm starting to think that makes a lot of sense for something like this. But, you know, if you want to go damage by class, that's really easy to put in here. Like, we could do that. I was thinking about that because I was also thinking about in the context of Lamentations, because I thought that Lamentations was interesting for a couple of reasons. There were some of those things in there that we saw that I thought were interesting. One of them were the skills, which is about to come up when we're talking about Thief. And then one of the other ones was just the fact that the fighter had such an emphasis on fighting that the others didn't have. I have got something in my contact is just not working. Just 1 second. I mean, I hate to say it, but my contact is not right. Hang on. Okay, maybe that'll help. I mean, I feel completely unprepared here. Damage by class. Titterpig says damage by class is something that 13th Age does, and I don't think we've ever gone to look at that one here. But actually, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially if you have this idea that the fighter is going to be very, very focused on fighting, and in some ways has to be because of the issues with scaling between the martial class and the fighter and the magic user, which is not bad if it's you know, that the magic user is so powerful at higher levels, which is a feature to some and not a bug. But if that's the case, why not just go ahead and double down and make the fighter like the fighter? Okay. So maximum level 14, which this goes to 14 levels, and I'm not sure why. Was that something that was that actually it probably does something that comes directly from original D&D? Was that 14 levels? We've seen some things that go back down to 9, and it really seems like 9th level is really where a lot of the different what you can see down here, like you stop getting modifiers from con, and your hit points really start to slow their progression at level 10 once you hit level 10. So I'm thinking that kind of like at level 9, you're kind of done with your adventuring, although you can still go up. You're kind of retired at that point. Leather armor, no shields, any weapons, languages, alignment, and common. And by the way, so I was reading a lot more about this, the weapon restrictions here. I know people have been talking about Shadow Dark, and I know that Kelsey, right, when she was designing Shadow Dark, I was watching some of her live streams. She was talking about you know, actively using the different types of weapons that a class has available to it as a balancing mechanism. And one of the things that people it seemed like people spoke a lot about regarding the cleric's restriction to like maces is that magic swords are very common, which is something which means that they would not be allowed to use them, which means that only the fighter would be able to use them. The fighter would get the magic swords, and that part of the balance of the game that you may not see in the beginning, and I did not see in the beginning, was that magic swords are pretty common. So the fighter is going to get magic swords and isn't going to have to compete like with them. Like if you look at the tables, like when you're rolling on the treasure tables, magic swords are pretty common. So the fighter takes those, which is one of their buffs, and you're not competing with the cleric, who is, you know, our hybrid fighter magic user class, right? So if you changed up the treasure table and made magic swords not as common, you would be further nerfing the fighter, I believe. Okay, so thieves are adventurers who live by the skill of deception and stealth. Their range of unique skills makes them very handy. That does say unique right there. Their range of unique skills makes them very handy companions and adventurers. However, thieves are not always to be trusted. Adjustability scores. In step 3 of character creation, thieves may not lower strength. And I wonder why that is. It may be that it just seems so obvious to lower a thief's strength because the thief doesn't need it that they're forbidding it. So I guess the idea, so we have backstab here. When attacking an unaware opponent from behind, a thief receives a +4 bonus to hit and doubles any damage dealt. Combat. Because of their need for stealth and free movement, thieves cannot wear armor heavier than leather and cannot use shields. They can use any weapon. Read languages, which kind of makes the thief also kind of scholarly, right? When I think about an adventuring kind of scholar, sometimes backing into or thief is the way to go. In fact, we dealt with that when we were trying to create something for Journey to the Tree of Sorrows. And, some kind of not quite or not as magical or non-magical scholar class or something. Anytime we tried to do that, you end up kind of backing into thief or rogue in that case, kind of backing into rogue. So it can cover a lot of ground. So read languages. A thief of 4th level or higher can read non-magical text in any language, including dead languages and basic codes, with 80% probability. If the roll does not succeed, the thief may not try to read that particular text again until they reach a higher level of experience. You see that a lot. Okay, you can try that. Okay, no, the roll meant you can't do it until you gain a level of experience. Then you can try again. But Conan was a thief. Oh, see, we're talking about Conan again. So Jason says, but Conan was a thief and he was strong. So maybe that's why you can't lower. Is that something to do with maintaining a high level of strength right there? Is that Conan influence? Scroll use. A thief of 10th level or higher can cast arcane spells from scrolls. There's a 10% chance of error. The spell does not function as expected and creates an unusual or deleterious effect. There's also some controversy, I believe, around here about the thief's lack of read magic. That the thief gets to do this without using read magic, whereas the wizard does not, or the magic user does not. Right. Okay. So this is actually, I was going to bring this up too. I think there's actually a breakdown in using the word thief. Literally, anyone who steals something is a thief. A small child who doesn't know any better and walks out of a store with a piece of candy without paying is a thief. Yeah. So how do we? I mean, we could use the same kind of breakdown on fighter. I mean, we've got the term fighter in the game. But anyone with any level of experience who, gets into a boxing match or something like that could be a fighter. And, and any of these, the thief can fight in the game, but then is the thief as a fighter? So this is a good question too. So I have not read the original Conan material. So is he doing the kinds of things that we consider thief skills? Like, is he doing thieving according to the thief class? So we get to the thief skills. So here's what the thief skill says and what people end up discussing. Because, well, okay, so here they are. Thieves can use the following skills with a chance of success shown opposite. Climb sheer surfaces. Now, this does say sheer surfaces. A roll is required for each 100 feet to be climbed. If the roll fails, the thief fails at the halfway point, suffering falling damage, which can be considerable. I mean, that's basically going to kill the thief, right? Wait, let's check falling damage, which was one issue that I always had. Falling from a height onto a hard surface inflicts 1d6 damage per point fallen. Oh, I forgot to check where my thief was. I mean, that was a problem with. It seemed to me to be one. Okay, thief. Yeah, so you're falling at the halfway point. You fall at 50 feet. You take 5d6 damage. So climbing sheer surfaces, I mean, that's basically if you fail your roll, it's going to kill you. To climb 100 feet. To climb 100 feet. Now, you're not always climbing 100 feet. A roll is required for each 100 feet to be climbed. So I would say if you're going 20 feet, then you would fall at 10 feet, and you still suffer 1d6 damage. Okay, find or remove treasure traps. A roll is required to find a treasure trap and then another to remove it. This may be attempted only once per trap. Hear noise. In a quiet environment, e.g. not in combat, a thief may attempt to listen at a door or hear the sound of something like a wandering monster approaching. Hide in shadows. Requires the thief to be motionless. Attacking or moving while hiding is not possible. Attacking or moving while hiding is not possible. Let's see. Better with Bacon says he sneaks with proficiency for sure. So actually, the Titter Pig Rancher says yes. His very first story, Tower in the Elements, has him scaling a wizard's tower. All right. In pursuit of the treasure. Hang on, just 1 second. I'm going to glasses. I'm going to take myself down. Okay, so yes, in his very first story, Tower of the Elephant has him scaling a wizard's tower in pursuit of rumors of treasure. So Conan in some books is very thief-like, while in others less so. You know, the reason the thief exists is because of Tolkien, but in The Hobbit, the class was called a burglar. And they do refer to it as burglar in MERP. You know, they actually have the burglar class. I think they also, I mean, they might have had thief or something like that, but there is a class that's actually burglar in MERP because of that. It might be in the back, but that's kind of what I think of. Oh, did we get Phoenix and the Sword? Okay, from Weird Tales. Frederick says an easy fix is the ability to cast spells at level 4 and use magic items at level 3. Cast spells at level 4 and then magic items at level 3 for the thief. Hey, good morning, Robert. The thief is from further back. You know, these classes are simply archetypes not intended to represent complex characters. They are created for a simpler game from a different era. You can always incorporate skill-based systems or a hybrid approach to address these limitations. So one of the criticisms that I see is that, okay, aren't some of these things that everyone is supposed to be able to do? And did what happen, and was it the case that by the inclusion of the thief into the game, you actually did it by taking away things that some of the other characters would be able to do? That you said, okay, the characters can do all of these things, and then we carved out from there some of their abilities and handed them to this kind of specialist here. Like hear noise. In a quiet environment, a thief may attempt to listen to the door to hear sounds of something. Isn't listening at the door something that a lot of people do? Now, see, this one, I don't remember the original language, but this is climb sheer surfaces. They did change that here rather than just climb surfaces. Because the implication being that anybody can climb up a surface with a that's not sheer with enough time, or using a rope or something like that. But the point is here that the thief is doing something that the others can't. We can climb a sheer surface. Hide in shadows requires the thief to be motionless. Okay, hiding. How do other players handle that? Move silently to sneak. Move silently. A thief may attempt to sneak past enemies unnoticed. Open locks requires thieves' tools. A thief can only try this once per lock. If the roll fails, the thief may not try the same lock again before gaining an experience level. Pickpockets. If the victim is above 5th level, the thief's roll is penalized by 5% for every level above 5th. There was always at least a 1% chance of failure. A roll of more than twice the percentage required for success means the attempted theft is noticed. The referee should determine the reaction of the victim, possibly using the reaction table under encounters. After reaching 9th level, a thief can establish a thief den, attracting 2d6 apprentices of 1st level. These thieves will serve the character with some reliability. However, should any be arrested or killed, the PCs will not be able to attract apprentices to replace them. A successful thief might use these followers to start a thieves guild. So that's where we are. But then also, okay, so the situation is that the thief is not really all that great. And also, okay, this game certainly does not have a unified resolution mechanic. These are all percentages, except for hear noise. Like it says 1 to 2 and 1 to 4. What is that? I was thinking this is percentage. No, that's a D6. So hearing noise is rolled on a D6. If the roll is within the listed range of numbers, the skill succeeds. Otherwise, with a result of less than on a percentile die. The referee should roll for the hear noise, hide in shadows, and move silently on the player's behalf, as the thief does not immediately know if the attempt was successful. If a hide in shadows or move silently roll fails, the referee knows that the thief has been noticed and should determine enemies' actions appropriately. The only thing that they really start out doing well is climbing. And so this was like one of the things people bring up is like, why is the thief, okay, we've carved out this thing, this skill for the thief, this niche for the thief. But then the thief is actually kind of bad at what they're doing. So climbing sheer surfaces is at 87%. And I remember this from AD&D as well. It's like, okay, I'm the thief. Okay, what are my percentage chance to do things? It's not a lot. Now, I believe that as you leveled up in AD&D, you got a certain number of percentage points to add to whichever ones you wanted. I think I remember that happening so that you could, choose to specialize your thief. Here you're going up, in the same way for all, or at a specified rate for all of our skills here. But that has to be because climbing can kill you. Like if you're climbing that wizard's tower, how tall is that wizard's tower? But also, is the wizard's tower a sheer surface? Is that a sheer surface? If it's not, maybe it's easier. But on the other, but in that case, how many sheer surfaces are you actually going to encounter? So climb surface is 87%, but still, and I suppose that's so high because if you're climbing something 30 feet, and I suppose it's like free climbing, that you're going to fall and you're going to take the damage because you're not you're not using pythons and. But on the other hand, why wouldn't you? Like that seems like because falling is going to kill you. Why wouldn't you rope yourself in as you're going to make sure that if you fall, you're not, you won't die? I guess one reason to not do that is if you're climbing the wizard's tower, you're like hammering spikes into his tower and he'll probably hear you. So it would be a great advantage to be able to free climb that wall. But if you're just going up a mountain or something, why not do something a bit more? Robert says, I think of thieves and assassins like intelligence operatives who clearly can do things basic soldiers or pilots are not adept at. Think real world combat. There are definitely roles. Thangobrand has all the D&D thief abilities. Oh, this is the character from the distressing tale of Thangobrind the jeweler, and I don't know that one either. The scene in Conan where Sabuka used daggers to climb and the rest used a rope. But Bacon says, you can argue that a lot of thief skills are skills that people engage in, but in a less focused manner. Burglars really really have to be keen-eared to avoid potential discovery and capture. In this way, I think it's okay to give the class special mention of these skills. They're practiced and honed. Hey, good morning, John. Good morning. So yes, all right. Yes. And so not only was it the case, or Tomocrat says OSE released a zine that offered a D6 alternative for the thief skills. So not only were there things like this that were in other games that you could potentially import in their e-zine, yes, they actually imported it themselves. I was like, okay, so how would I import this? Well, they do that themselves. So we have low skills here. So people want to, so one of the most common ways, and actually I think this is from that zine. So we'll go to that. Like, how do we adjudicate these versus what other people can do? I think some of that was actually in that zine. But if we go over here, I want to go over here to the special, right? Yes, right here. Now this is in Lamentations. So this, and I do kind of like this. In one way, what's going on with the specialist over here? Let me share the screen. Lamentations has the specialist. Specialists, they do it because they want to. Whether inspired by greed, this is adventuring. Whether inspired by greed, boredom, or idle curiosity, specialists are professional explorers risking life and limb simply because a less active life is distasteful to them. In some ways, this makes them the only sane and normal adventuring characters, but in other ways, it makes them the most unusual. The specialist is unique because the character has no class. The character class has no special abilities on their own. Instead, a specialist is better at certain activities than all characters are able to do at a basic level. So this is addressing that, I think. Instead, a specialist is better at certain activities that all characters are able to do at a basic level. The specialist begins with the same default level in all these activities as other characters, but receives points which can be allocated to improve the abilities in the chosen skills. The available skills and their default starting values for all characters are architecture, bushcraft, climb, languages, search, sleight of hand, sneak attack, stealth, and tinker. Okay, so that gives you all characters having some of these skills, even sleight of hand, interestingly, even sleight of hand they have. But climbing, bushcraft, maybe that also has to do with like survival. I mean, that's probably like survival and overland travel. Stealth, I think the tinker has to do with the traps. So this is something, so that some kind of basic level, these are adventuring skills. And I was thinking about that myself. I was like, okay, so you don't want to turn D&D, OSE, any of these retro clones into a skill-based system, because that doesn't feel right. But on the other hand, you do have these different checks for different things that are adventuring related, right? Adventuring related skills that you're going to have to check. It doesn't seem right to say, oh, hey, let's get into all of your background skills and things like that, because you're not a blacksmith. You're not a cooper. You are the fighter, the cleric, the wizard, right? That's what you are. You're not those other things. If you need those other skills, you're probably going to do that through a hireling. But because of what you do have adventuring related skills. So this gives everybody adventuring related skills at some level. Most of the rules covering these skills can be found in the adventuring rules of the game section. For skills that are X and 6, allocate a point. Allocating a point increases the chance by 1. How many? Oh, I think that must be on a chart. Let's see here. Oh, Let's see what people are saying. The Lamentations specialist can put all into one skill and start really good at one thing. Right, that's up to you. I like the idea of a skill-based system organized into skill trees, whereas each skill embodies a specific type of fantasy. However, the characters wouldn't be confined to a single tree. Instead, the trees would serve to illustrate the characters' tendencies, offering guidance without imposing limitations. Skyrim does something similar. Bacon says, yeah, the lamentation specialist is what I was getting at in my comment. Anyone can do what the thief does, but the thief makes a living doing it, so it's a higher level with nuanced distinctions. And for Frederick says, for Lamentations, I ruled every character has a base 1 in 6 in any of the skills. Right, so everyone starts there. How many points do they get? Okay, so let's see. A specialist allocating a point to this skill as skill in languages would be 2 and 6. Okay, for other characters, sneak attacks are merely attacks by surprise. A specialist can multiply damage done by a sneak attack by allocating points to this skill. Oh, sneak attack right here. We got that down here. Assume that the damage multiplier is times 1 for all characters, but for every point allocated to the skill by a specialist, the damage multiplier is increased by 1. If a specialist has any points in sneak attack, then they also get +2 bonus to hit above other. If a specialist has any points in sneak attack, then he also gets +2 bonus to hit above any other bonuses he already has from performing a sneak attack. When the use of an ability is attempted, the player must roll d6, and if the result is equal to or less than the ability, the action is successful. In some cases, the referee will roll. For example, the character will easily be able to tell if he has successfully picked a lock, so the character can roll. On the other hand, searching for traps, that's ref rolls. If a specialist has a skill with rating of 6 and 6, the roll to succeed is made with 2 dice, and only if both of them come up as 6 does the attempt fail. The specialist must be unencumbered to use any of the class abilities involving movement or suffer 1 point skill penalty per level of encumbrance. They must have specialist tools to search for finding traps or use Tinker for opening locks and other abilities. I really do like this. I like this interpretation. It's also, this is kind of opening the door as well to other classes without having other classes. Like making the ranger outdoors type or the scholar type. How many points do you get to allocate, though? That's what I wanted to know. Isn't there supposed to be a chart with the specialist? Oh, it's up here. It's before. Okay, it's out of order. It's out of order. Okay, this is what I was looking for. So level, experience, HP. Okay, skill points. So here you go. So they get 4 skill points in the beginning, and then they get 2 going up. Every level they get 2 more. To me, that solves a lot of problems. You are better at the things that you are better at some subset of the adventuring tasks that others can do already. Titterpig says, Lamentations, the Flame Princess is one of the best OSRs out there. So I do kind of like that interpretation. But on the other hand, okay, let's go over and take a look at what was said in the OSE zine. So where is that? Because I was like, okay, so hey, could you do something like that over here? I got so many tabs open. I'm going to have to get this in hard copy. Oh, where did it go? Well, I had it open. Hang on. I got to find. because I was like, hey, could we add something like that to it? And they already did. That's. Oh, I'm sharing. I feel completely out of sorts this morning. Let me just see if I find. I had it because I went and got the e-zine. Here we go. Here we are. All right, I got it. So this is actually one of the very first things they addressed in their e-zine. So there's a lot of stuff out here, which I really like for this. Present, share screen. Here we go. So this. All right. So here is the Carcass Crawler #1. Oh, I didn't put it up. The Carcass Crawler #1. New classes and races: the Acolyte, Gargantua, Goblin, Hephaestus, Kineticist, Mage, which actually also really like the Mage too. So here we go. So this is, they put this in here, and it addresses the Thief. So let's see. Adjudicating Thief skills, and then also D6 Thief skills. So optional, let's go over here. Okay, so here is an adjudication of Thief skills. Optional guidelines for the referee. So here's another way that you could do it that kind of also addresses what James Bacon was talking about. We're saying, how do we let other people too? Thief skills, especially those relating to sneaking and hiding, are one of the most commonly debated aspects of the game. Traditional basic expert rules on which old school's essentials is best. The traditional basic expert rules on which old school essentials is based are somewhat lacking in detail in this area, requiring each referee to make their own rulings as to how the thief's skills are handled. This article presents optional guidelines which may be used when adjudicating the skill of thieves and related classes, and attempts by other characters to perform similar tasks. So backstab. Thieves gain a bonus to attack and damage rolls when attacking an unaware opponent from behind. Surprise. A surprised opponent is considered unaware for 1 round. Hiding. An enemy who does not notice a hiding thief is considered unaware. Okay, so a surprised opponent is considered unaware for 1 round, and you get this when you attack an unaware opponent from behind. So if you gain surprise and you're behind them, then go for it. If you are hiding and the opponent doesn't notice, then okay, valid sneak attack. Sneaking. An enemy who a thief successfully sneaks up on is considered unaware. See sneaking. Note that in the middle of combat, a roll to move silently is rarely required. Other characters do not have expertise to attempt this feat. So this is not something, so backstab or sneak attack in other games is not something that another character can do. That's unique to the thief. Frederick says the original game, any character can buy another class's skills as Arcanum by Bard Games. I think in a game like this, in an old school game, you really want to keep all the classes. You want to do a lot of niche protection for the classes. But the common skills, and actually I thought about MERP too, because MERP, when which was my first experience with a role-playing game, I'm pretty sure true experience. I think I experienced that before Dungeons and Dragons. Pretty sure of that. So I got the MERP book out, and it's got skills in there. It's not a skill-based game, but it does have skills in there to adjudicate adventuring situations. And there are things that anybody can do to different levels, but everybody, all the different characters have the same skills listed. Now, their skill in them is going to be different, but basic adventuring tasks. And it's interesting that we come up with a list that across a bunch of different games that are pretty similar. So climbing. Thieves have the skill to climb sheer surfaces. vertical or very steep surfaces with only minimal handholds without special equipment. So that sounds like the free climbing. They have the ability to climb sheer surfaces without special equipment. In easier circumstances, thieves can climb non-sheer surfaces without a roll. Other characters may require a dex check when climbing in a difficult and tense situation. Non-thieves cannot climb sheer surfaces without special equipment. So that's making this interpretation of most of these, what's going on here is that you are making the thieves extra special, being able to do things that others just can't. So that did say climb sheer surfaces, not just climb. So a special thing that other people can't climb. Find removing treasure traps. Thieves' expertise with small, complex mechanisms allows them to find and remove treasure traps. Room traps. Thieves have the standard 1 in 6 chance of finding a room trap. See searching under Dungeon Exploration and Old School Essentials. Other characters do not have the expertise to attempt this feat. So everybody can search the room for traps. But only the thief can find small, complex mechanisms that might be on treasure. Descriptive handling of traps. PCs of all classes may try to find or remove traps of all kinds by describing their actions. For example, poking a dagger into a lock, pouring water over a floor, etc. In this way, it might be possible to find, bypass, or disable traps without a roll. The referee should adjudicate the effects of such actions based on the mechanisms of any trap present. Hear noise. All characters can attempt to hear noises. See doors under Dungeon Exploration and Old School Essentials. That's what I thought. Anybody listen at doors. That seems to be actually pretty standard in the game. Listen at doors. The doors that are difficult to open and they close behind you as well, by the way. Okay, so all characters can attempt to hear noise. See Dungeon Exploration, see doors. Thieves' chance of success increases with level. Let me see. Where's our doors? It should be a D6 check, right? Yeah, hear noise is always a D6 check. So doors. Where is doors? Adventuring. I may not have the complete. No, listening at doors. PCs have a 1 in 6 chance of detecting subtle sounds beyond the door. Some types of adventurers may have increased chance of success. So the thief has an increased chance of success from the very beginning. That's kind of like the skill system we were just looking at. The thief is good. Everybody can do it, but the thief is just better. Repeating checks, optional rules. Under the standard rules, checks to search for traps or secret doors, remove treasure traps, and open locks may only be attempted once per character. The referee may allow repeated checks at the expense of time, 1 turn per attempt. Spending extra time brings its own risks in the form of wandering monsters and diminishing light resources such as light. So hiding. This also brings up that the thief's abilities are exceptional. Thieves have the skill to hide in shadows when no other cover is available. Easier circumstances, thieves can hide behind decent cover without a roll. Halflings and gnomes. Characters of these classes have similar hiding ability to thieves, which may be adjudicated using the same guidelines. Other characters may require to roll a dex check or a 2 in 1 chance to successfully hide behind cover. Non-thieves have no chance of hiding when hiding if the only cover available is shadows. So hide in shadows, it's like Batman or something. Better with Bacon says this whole treasure traps thing creates a disconnect. If they have experience with treasure traps, you'd think that'd be because they have experience in retrieving treasure. In a game where character progression was largely dependent on spending treasure, can there really be such a thing as a first-level thief with a disarm treasure traps proficiency? Oh, because you haven't really been searching. You haven't really been doing that. You haven't been going and getting enough treasure yet. You don't have the real-world experience yet. Reading languages and codes. Thieves' expertise with maps and secret messages allows them from 4th level to read non-magical text in any language, including dead languages and basic codes. Level of comprehension. The The referee should decide how much of a text the thief comprehends. In the case of obscure languages, the thief may only understand the basic gist of a text, not the finer details. Other characters do not have the expertise to attempt this feat. Codes as puzzles. Adventurers sometimes contain puzzles involving simple codes for players to unravel. The referee should decide whether to allow thieves read languages skills to aid in solving such puzzles. Sneaking. Thieves have the skill to move silently, making absolutely no sound whatsoever. So this is, again, it's taking that thief skill to an extreme. Thieves have the skill to move silently, meaning making absolutely no sound whatsoever. Silent environments. Moving silently is required to sneak unnoticed in completely silent environments. If a guard is standing quietly listening for intruders, roll to move silently must be required. Whereas in noisy environments, a thief can sneak unnoticed without a roll in noisy environments with background noise, where moving absolutely silently is unnecessary. This includes combat. Failed rolls. A thief who fails their roll to move silently is still assumed to be moving quietly. Thus, the normal surprise rolls apply. See notes below. Other characters. When exploring and not in combat or fleeing, it is assumed that characters are attempting to move around quietly. In environments with some level of background noise, the surprise roll covers the character's chance of sneaking unnoticed. Non-thieves cannot sneak unnoticed in silent environments. Again, going to this extreme here. Surprise. If a PC's presence is not otherwise obvious due to light sources or noisy actions, the standard surprise roll covers the chance of characters sneaking unnoticed in a non-silent environment. Wait, surprise. If a PC's presence is not otherwise obvious due to a light source or being noisy, the standard surprise roll covers the chance of characters sneaking unnoticed. Okay, gotcha. Opening locks. Thieves' expertise with small, complex mechanisms allows them to pick locks. Other characters do not have the expertise to attempt this feat. Pickpockets. Thieves are trained in the subtle art of pickpocket. Other characters do not have the expertise to attempt this feat. So that's one way. Yeah, exactly. No treasure, no experience with doing that. Maybe they let you practice in the Thieves Guild before they send you out. But on the other hand, I do like that. I do like the skill thing. And actually, you know what this reminds me of? We talked about Unearthed Arcana last time, and I still have it here. This is the 3rd edition Unearthed Arcana. And even when I never got to play according to this rule, but this Unearthed Arcana did have rules for going back to basic characters, basic character classes, generic classes, it called it, page 76. And I was like, hey, let me refresh my memory on that. So with generic classes in this 3rd edition Unearthed Arcana, I got to clean off my desk. I don't know where to put anything. All right. You do have your classes are oh, thank you. Oh, got it. I don't know where I was, but I was talking about, man, this stream is not going well. I feel like this stream is not going very well. But okay, so we've got, I don't know where I was, but instead of specialist, they have expert here. The last thing we heard was the classes are. Okay, so the classes are expert, warrior, and spellcaster. Okay, I thought it was specialist, but they use the term expert, but basically that's the same thing. Expert, specialist, and expert, spellcaster, and warrior. And it was interesting to me that in the classic old school system, when you're talking about the 3 classes, you've got the fighter, you've got the magic user, and then you've got the cleric. And really, the cleric is the hybrid. So you've got fighter, spellcaster, and then hybrid fighter, spellcaster. Not quite as great a spellcaster as the magic user, and not as great a fighter as the fighter. And then with the extra layer that the hybrids magic operates differently than the magic user, with the cleric level, the divinity leveled on, layered on top of that. Oh, why is this different? Okay, this is the cleric, so we've got divine magic or whatever. So fighter, magic user, hybrid. Here, this is warrior, magic user, and then expert, which says the expert here, the expert can be the jack of all trades or a master of a limited area of expertise. Based on his selection of skills and feats, he can focus on diplomatic matters, stealth, combat, wilderness survival, thievery, or any number of critical tasks. At first glance, the expert appears similar to the rogue. It shares that class's combat ability, wide range of class skills, and tendency towards simple weapons and light armor. Unlike the rogue, however, the expert has no special class features, but instead defines his specialization by his selection of bonus feats. So the expert, okay, we got, this is back to 3rd edition. So we've got the basic attack bonus, good saves, poor saves, and then special feats. So skill point 6+ int modifier, or 4 times this number at first level. So you get all the different, you get more skills here. I kind of like those things as generic classes. Warrior, spellcaster, and I would say specialist. Warrior, spellcaster, and specialist. Let those be your 3 classes. And then if you go to spellcaster, then allow the spellcaster to specialize between divine. If you want a division between divine and arcane magic, you can. Oh, well, thank you, Mike. I think it all started when I didn't actually have my coffee this morning. I was doing other things and I had to go get water. So I guess I feel wrong-footed from that. So anyway, that seems to make more sense. Now, and if you do that, we can talk about this later. But then I think in Lamentations, it actually the priest is much more academically inclined and magically inclined than being the hybrid warrior. And in fact, it seemed very similar to the wizard to me, maybe too similar. But so anyway, my point is, I do like this idea of core classes being something like magic user, fighter, and specialist. Now, this is a really important e-zine if you're into OSE. So here is the D6 thief skills, because they add this back in. I was like, hey, I bet I could do that. But yeah, I don't have to. It's right here in D6. And I think this is all open source, open license anyway. So this says the D6 thief skills, an alternative system for thief skills. The traditional thief class is probably the most commonly house-ruled character class, so much that fixing the thief has become something of a time-honored tradition among rules tweakers. 2 of the most common complaints about the thief is that its percentile-based skills, a mechanic not used by any other rules subsystem. Yeah, this is, of course, that does kind of bug me. I don't worry about it in the old school system. It would be great to be able to get rid of another one. I like universal action resolution mechanics, but it's just a feature of old school games that, hey, this is a percentile, this is a D20, this is a D6, whatever. But yeah, it would be nice to be able to get rid of one if you can. So a mechanic not used by any other rules subsystem, and it's fixed, inflexible skill progression. Must all thieves focus primarily on climbing to the detriment of other skills at low levels? This article presents an alternative system for thief skills designed as an attempt to address these issues, with D6-based skills replacing the percentages and a simple point allocation system adding flexibility. So here's what they do. Modified skills. When using D6-based thief skills, usage of the following skills is modified. Pickpockets. The chance of success is reduced by 1 in 6 per 3 levels of the victim. For example, a 6th level victim reduces success by 2 in 6. A roll of 6 means the attempted thief is noticed. The referee determines the reaction of the victim. Read languages. Thieves have the ability to read languages from first level and may improve their chance of success. As with all other skills, see expertise. Under the standard rules, thieves gain the ability to read languages at 4th level and may never improve their chance of success. So you can read languages from first level. You could specialize in that and may improve their chance of success as with all other skills, instead of it just being a static thing. I was supposed to read this right here. Thief skills. Thieves have the following skills: climb sheer surfaces, find or remove treasure traps, hear a noise, hide in shadows, move silently, open locks, pick pockets, read languages. These skills function as described in old school essentials, except that skills are rolled on a d6 rather than with a percentile die. The chance of success with these skills is described under expertise. So expertise, base chance of skills. All skills begin with a 1 in 6 chance of success. Expertise points. A thief gains expertise points by improving their chance of success with their skills. Each point allocated to a skill improves the chance of success by 1 in 6. Multiple points may be allocated to a skill, further increasing the chance of a skill. For example, if 2 points are allocated to a skill, the chance of success raises to 3 in 6 from the base 1 in 6. At first level, at character creation, a thief has 4 expertise points to allocate, and a thief gains 2 additional expertise points at every level. Maximum chance of success, no skill may be raised above a 5 in 6. So in this case, the cap is 5 in 6. If you had a situation where you had standard adventuring skills, what are the skills that the standard adventurers are going to need? Everybody's got them. It's just that our specialist is going to be specialized in those skills. And if you're going to go extreme and have only the warrior being the one who fights, then I would not let other people increase their skills. Probably don't do that. That, like, if you are not a specialist, you're the fighter, you're the cleric, you're the wizard, then you're going to be doing your things, fighting, casting spells. It's only the specialist that is going to be able to increase their skills. You're going to be at 1 in 6 to find secret doors, right? For your entire adventuring career as a fighter, right? If that's the way it goes, it's just going to be that forever. Why not use D10? Could you use D10 for this? Is that getting too granular? Is D6 not granular enough? It seems like it works pretty well. A lot of people are using D6 with this. But here's another hack. Hey, we're going to base the skill system off of a D10. But you're not increasing that. If you want to have a better chance to be able to do those types of dungeon things, then you need to bring along a specialist or a thief. That seems to make sense to me. Likewise, if the thief is going into a tower, he's not really going to be able to fight off whatever's in there. If he wants to be able to fight off whatever's in there, well, then he should bring a fighter. I mean, that seems to make sense to me. But I would say that if you do that, then probably it says no skill may be raised above a 5 in 6. Lamentations lets you go a little bit higher. But if you did have other classes sometimes increasing their skill in things, I'd probably give them a skill cap, but then let the thief go to, or the specialist go to the double 6. Why not? Hey, great old ones. The problem in 3rd edition is that they were much weaker than the basic classes. I don't know how they are in 5th edition. You're talking about the generic classes. I never got to play it. Mike says, just read an article that bases the thief skills off of 2d6 to get a better distribution. You're talking about rolling 2d6. Rolling 2d6 against a target number. All right. Well, so did we cover the thief and what's wrong with it? I mean, I think that I think the solution is to have adventuring skills for everybody. Here's your adventuring skills. It's not going to be a long list. And that's all of your characters, because all of your characters are adventurers. We're not going to be doing mathematics. It's not GURPS where, okay, I need to know my geometry score. Like, how good am I at geometry, or how good am I at something else? We're only talking about a boxed in set of adventuring skills, because you are an adventurer and you're a specialist at either fighting, at using magic. We have a hybrid fighter magic user role. And then we have a specialist role that can choose to specialize in the dungeon, in the dungeoneering and wilderness travel, dungeoneering / overland travel, wilderness skills. I kind of like that. Michael says, I dislike that nearly all OSR concentrates entirely on D&D and ignores other great games of that era. Like which ones? Rolling 2d6 rather than d6 or percentiles. Well, adventuring skills for all, but they're just real low level or potentially not improvable. So that way you can have the climb. Just say it's the climb skill. So yeah, everybody else can climb, but it's at a low level. If you want to climb at a higher level, anything other than basic climb, then you got to be the specialist. Michael says, all this cements my dislike of class-based systems. I used to be hugely in favor of skill-based systems. Was a big fan of GURPS, and I still am. But the issue is that it just takes so long. One of my issues is it just takes so long. Yeah, exactly. To make, and of course now this actually makes me wonder. There are aren't there classless variants of the OSE? I actually think I saw that. Let me look that up. A classless OSR system. Well, yeah. Like Knave. Yeah. Like, duh. Like, we've looked at this. Like, Knave, Cairn, Into the Odd. Yeah, there was no. I did actually think about that. So there was no. So you can do classless OSR. Knave is one of them. So you can do that. And I actually was wondering, I was like, how, what if you were doing one that was, oh, hey, RPG. What if you were doing one that, like some type of, game here, and you wanted to go classless. So, Knave is basically you are what you wear. So I guess one way to do that is all, you are what you wear. If you want to cast spells, you got to have the stone or something in your backpack or in your hand that has that spell, and it allows you to cast it once per day. So anybody can cast it as long as you find the magic rock, or whatever it is. And then everything else, so it manages what you do by all of your inventory. So if you want to be a warrior with, the full plate arm on, then you're not going to be carrying around as many spell rocks, right? Or any spell rocks or whatever. So it's all the trade-offs. So that's one way to do it, is all through gear. You are what you wear. If you want to change up what you do, then just change up the gear that you have. And that even allows you to change in the middle of the game. I'm going to give all my spell rocks to this guy over here, this other character. He's going to give me his armor, and I'm going to get to play the fighter for a while, and he's going to play the magic user. So that's one way to do it. Another way, it's like, okay, if you just, could you take all of your fighter, cleric, magic user, specialist skills, put them on here on a sheet, like half a sheet, and then select what you want to do and still get it done in like 15 minutes. Instead of having to, or less, instead of having to spend all the time with something like GURPS. Okay, well, I guess this is, that's all I had to say today. I thought this was an interesting topic, man. The rabbit hole you can go down is really great here. Right, yeah. The skill-based systems, PH says, people are writing in. So PH says skill-based systems are normally too granular. Yeah, I mean, I think for general use, that's right. Like GURPS is too granular. That's why some kits are interesting. Fewer skills can help. Adventuring skills is a great idea. Knaves, you are what you wear has a lot of common with the job system found in a lot of Final Fantasy games. I never played Final Fantasy. So Great Old One says, in my opinion, 5e tries to bring skills into a class-based system. It started with AD&D second edition, actually. It was a big part of third edition. Anyone can try sleight of hand, but a rogue can get double specialization and extra bonus. Yeah, third edition was a lot about skills. And so I think a lot of people still were playing fifth edition skills like they were third edition skills. All right. Well, I have got a lot to do today. There was a lot to think about. There's a lot of things to do here at the house, like get stuff off my desk here. And I've got some other things I've got to work on. So, oh yeah, index card is, but is that OSE? All right. I am out of here. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, getting past the hiccups. I will see everybody later. We'll see about Tuesday. But if not, we'll be back here on this channel on Wednesday. Later, everybody.